Le podcast Sur la route de l'horreur est rendu possible grâce à Horreur Fanatique et son encamp du samedi soir. Visitez horreurfanatique.ca pour plus de détails. Ainsi que grâce aux bières philosophales, le salon de dégustation de bières en fût par excellence situé à Mirabel dans les Laurentides. Visitez lesbièresphilosophales.com pour plus de détails. Maintenant, bouclez votre ceinture puisqu'on vous amène sur la route de l'horreur. Salut tout le monde! Comment ça va, messieurs?
Ça va très bien, merci toi.
Très bien. Très bien.
On a des petits changements ici ce soir. On manque 2 joueurs. Un Zamblard, que lui, on s'en contrebalance. Mais on manque Christophe qui n'est pas là et on a demandé à Guillaume de se joindre à nous.
Je vais essayer de faire de mon mieux.
Ouais, pour amener un côté plus
Moi, je suis certain qu'il va faire une super bonne job, Guillaume, parce qu'il est super smart, il amène tout le temps des bons points, ça va être
Wow, comment mettre la barre très haute pour que je me plante. Merci, messieurs. J'aime ça.
Non, mais en fait aussi, c'est comme le début de Sur la route de l'horreur 2.0, parce qu'on a décidé d'ajuster certaines choses un petit peu. Puis Guillaume, en fait, tu vas venir à toutes les 2 semaines nous faire une chronique que tu as intitulée « Salade cervicale ». J'ai aucune idée qu'est-ce que Guillaume va faire.
Ben voilà, en fait, donc salade cervicale, parce que dans une salade, tu peux mettre un peu ce que tu as sous la main, et ça n'a pas besoin d'être toujours la même recette, et ça s'enligne dans cette direction-là, parce que ça se peut que 2 semaines en semaine, ou de 2 semaines en 2 semaines, je change complètement de direction, parce que ça me tente. Voilà.
Il n'y a aucun problème. Fait qu'on va partir. Ah ben en fait, Martin, peux-tu nous dire qui qu'on a cette semaine? Parce que aussi dans le Rebrand 2.0, on avait posé une question à un moment donné aux gens en leur disant est-ce que ça serait possible, est-ce que vous aimeriez avoir des fois des invités, mais anglophones, qui viennent sur le podcast? Et c'était assez positif, donc on a décidé d'inclure ça cette semaine.
Oui, puis c'est intéressant parce que la façon que j'ai appris que cet homme-là existait, c'est que le film qui est sorti, No One Gets Out Alive, de Netflix, a été fait par lui, c'est-à-dire Santiago Menghini. Et je me suis dit, tabarouette, il faut qu'on l'amène à notre show, ce gars-là, parce que le film, il est vraiment excellent. Puis je suis fier de dire que ça vient de Montréal et tout. Donc, c'est lui qu'on va recevoir ce soir.
Et il faut dire en plus qu'il est montréalais, fait que c'est super intéressant pour les gens. Donc, sans plus tarder, on va commencer comme on fait d'habitude avec notre petit tour de table horrifique. J'ai bien hâte de voir qu'est-ce que Guillaume a acheté cette semaine et s'il a regardé quelque chose. Bienvenue au tour de table horrifique!
C'est écœurant de savoir que Guillaume a probablement acheté quelque chose pour le tour de table horrifique. J'ai hâte de voir moi aussi, tu sais quoi. Mais je vais en profiter, je vais commencer pour lui laisser un petit peu le temps là, de réfléchir à qu'est-ce qu'il a peut-être acheté. Moi, c'est toujours la même chose, gang, vous le savez. On a toujours des articles. Je sais que Elzamblar achète tout le temps des articles. Steve, tu as toujours des affaires intéressantes. C'est la même chose pour Chris. Moi, c'est tout le temps des maudits Blu-ray ou des DVD. Puis j'ai pogné des affaires tellement bizarres dernièrement. J'ai Orichi ici. Cette affaire-là, c'est vraiment weird. Je l'ai trouvé dans mes Blu-ray. Je ne savais même pas que je l'avais. Hell to the Deadites. Je ne sais pas si vous avez déjà entendu parler de ça, mais c'est un excellent documentaire. Ensuite, quelque chose comme The Ranger, qui semble très intéressant et qui est fait par une compagnie qui s'appelle Black Phone Distribution, qui ont fait aussi d'ailleurs... Distribué, excusez-moi. Harpoon aussi. Harpoon, qui est la même chose, distribué par Black Phone. Puis j'ai pris des affaires qui sont vraiment vintage. Zombie Lake ici, écoutez, ça c'est vintage à mort aussi. Paranormal Activity 4. Non, c'est juste parce qu'il me le manquait dans ma collection. Puis quand il me manque quelque chose dans ma collection, j'ai besoin de l'avoir, même si c'est merdique. Midsommar, qui est un excellent film de Sphere. Là, vous allez rire un petit peu. Hellhole, un film là, dans le temps où le Prison Woman era était quelque chose de très populaire. Manhunter, pour ceux qui ne l'ont pas vu, hein, si vous aimez l'histoire de Silence of the Lambs, vous devez voir Manhunter. Horde, qui est un film français. Lodge. Écoutez, je vais arrêter parce que j'en ai trop de Blu-ray, puis vous allez voir, la prochaine épisode, j'en ai encore plus que ça, que je ne vous montrerai pas au complet, mais disons juste que j'ai pogné un bon ami ici à Gatineau qui vend sa collection, donc j'en ai profité un peu. Au prochain.
Guillaume, je ne sais pas si tu as acheté quelque chose, je présume que non, mais peut-être que tu as regardé quelque chose, toi qui es en train de t'introduire au monde de l'horreur.
Ben, je suis en train de réécouter The Blob de 88 que j'ai en fait acheté en Blu-ray, pas tout à fait cette semaine, mais disons dans les 2 dernières semaines. Donc en fait, je sais pas si ça compte parce que j'étais pas là dans les 2 dernières semaines. Donc je vais le mettre comme ça. Là, il est en bas, je savais pas que c'était un show and tell, donc je l'ai pas avec moi. Il est dans ma bibliothèque à côté de mon lecteur Blu-ray.
Ben, ils n'ont aucun problème.
Voilà.
Et moi, très, très, très rapidement, j'ai reçu ma copie de L'inquiétante absence. Donc, là, le Zamblar n'est pas là, fait qu'il faut que je gère les caméras et moi-même. C'est très compliqué.
Ben, je peux t'aider aussi si tu veux.
Puis ça, ma copie de L'inquiétante absence. Et j'ai reçu mes numéros de Fangoria que je n'avais pas. En fait, j'avais oublié de me rabonner à Fangoria. Et j'ai reçu un email de Fango qui me disait ben, si vous vous rabonnez, on vous donne les 4 derniers numéros gratuits.
Est-ce que c'est moi ou la qualité a de l'air vraiment intense, là?
La qualité des nouveaux Fangoria 2.0, là, c'est cartonné. C'est vraiment, sont vraiment top.
Wow!
Sont lourds, sont vraiment cool. Sérieusement, ils font vraiment une belle job. Tu sais, il y en a
Ah ouais, hein, c'est plus le modèle comme broché, c'est comme collé avec une reliure, puis respect, c'est cool ça. L'avantage de ça, c'est que quand tu les mets toutes dans ta bibliothèque, tu vois la tranche sur le côté, ben comme faut.
Oui, parce qu'avant, tu voyais pas le numéro et tout. Donc, j'ai reçu ça. Et là, je me suis rendu compte que dans ceux qui m'ont envoyé, il y en a que j'avais déjà, en fait que je n'ai 3 en double. Fait qu'on verra. Martin, je te vendrai 25-26$ chaque. Là,
je pensais que tu allais dire que tu allais mettre Martin et moi dans une cage, puis c'était un fight to the death pour savoir qui allait les avoir.
C'est plate, mais c'est sûr que c'est moi qui vais perdre.
Ben...
Ça, écoutez, ben, je m'en allais justement le dire.
Ben, vas-y, mon Martin.
So, on reçoit ce soir Santiago Menghini, qui est un réalisateur, un écrivain, un artiste d'effets visuels, puis c'est le cofondateur de Némésis Films. Ce gars-là a un bac dans production cinématographique de l'école de cinéma Mel Hoppenheim de Montréal, puis un diplôme d'études postsecondaires en cinéma, vidéo et communication du Collège Dawson. Ses courts-métrages ont été sélectionnés dans de nombreux festivals, puis ont reçu de nombreux prix au fil des années. Son court-métrage Milk est actuellement adapté et développé par New Line Cinema en un long-métrage. Son dernier court-métrage, Regret, a été présenté en première mondiale au Festival du film de Sundance 2020 et a reçu le Midnight Jury Award au SXSW 2020. Et le premier long-métrage de Santiago, No One Gets Out Alive, une adaptation du livre d'Adam Neville, est maintenant disponible sur Netflix. Mesdames et messieurs, j'invite Santiago à se joindre à nous.
Salut.
Hey,
hello.
How are you, Santiago?
Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be
First off, thank you very much for being here. Every time we have a guest, I need to ask, how did your passion for filmmaking started?
It started for me probably because I have a kind of big family. I have 2 brothers and a cousin that we were all kind of living together. We used to make family videos together. And I didn't direct at the time. It was always my older brother who had the camera. I knew how to work with it. So I was always kind of acting and goofing around with that. And then after some time, I just sort of picked up the camera myself and I started, telling stories on my own with my friends. And I just stuck to it since then. So in a weird way, I started because it was me and my brothers kind of goofing around. And then I got the bug and I couldn't stop. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like most of us, actually. I think we all did the same thing here. The first short film you made was OHM in 2009, a film about a man's exploration of his desires that leads to significant consequences that go far beyond his control. OHM was, correct me if I'm wrong, shot on film, right?
Yeah. It was shot on 16. It was at Concordia. At Concordia, they make you, the university I went to, Mel Hoppenheim.
How was it to be able to work on film, especially that we are now living in an entire digital filmmaking environment?
So when I went to Concordia, they had this like initiative that you have to shoot on film. And at the time, we were all kind of shooting on video cameras that, nothing to the standard of what we have now, but, video was very commonly used, and I was using video to shoot all my stuff. So for me to shoot on film felt like the most absurd thing. I'm like, I don't understand. Why are you making a shoot on film? And I remember at first being like, I just think it's a waste of money. It's so expensive. Everything is so difficult and you can't see what you're shooting. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But then as soon as I started working with film, I realized, okay, what it taught me, and I think it was such a useful lesson. And anybody who wants to be a filmmaker, it can be such a powerful lesson to shoot on film, because you have to really know what you're doing. You have to really be prepared. You have to think about every shot, because literally it costs so much money just to put the camera in. You maybe put the exposure wrong, or your film stock is not properly calibrated or whatever, and you make a mistake or whatever it might be. The consequences are real, and it makes you kind of be more precious about your decisions. And I think that is so powerful. So for me, that was a good lesson, and I love film now. So if I can, anytime it's possible, I'll try to shoot with film. It is
so
really good.
If a project was handed to you and you had the choice between film and digital, which way would you go?
It depends on the project. I have to say, like, I love film, and I would love to shoot on film all the time. If I could shoot 35, I'd shoot 35. Yes. But at the same time, it depends on the workflow and what I'm doing. If I know I need to shoot a lot of material, I don't think film would make a lot of sense. I would want the project to make it like really worthwhile to shoot on film. And one example would be like, if you're doing a scene that's like a very complicated setups and everything, sometimes film cameras don't fit the places that you want to go, or they're a little more cumbersome. You have to spend a lot more money to make it happen. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth that extra expense? And you can create something that it might be slightly different aesthetic, but still work with digital. So I think it's a worthy conversation to always have with your team, if like that's what you want. I think aesthetically, it's always what I want, but at the end of the day, you got to think, practically as well, and be like, is this necessarily the best for the film? And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it might be taking away from especially for horror films, as you guys know, it's very dark. Yeah. Sometimes shooting in film, you need a lot more lights and you need a lot more material. And now with these cameras that can shoot with moonlight, I mean, you open the door for so many more possibilities creatively. So you have to sort of pick and choose your battle. But yeah, I love film, but
I think it's going to be better and better.
Out of curiosity, did you notice a difference in the way the actors performed in front of a camera that is shooting film versus digital? Because digital, they know they can mess around and they can take as many takes as necessary. Film is different. Film is you have like a limited amount of time and a limited amount of film.
Yeah, I think everybody feels it. I think the actors do, definitely, because there's a different pressure on set. Because like as soon as you're shooting on film, there's a little bit more of like an unspoken pressure. Sometimes the film might run out, right? So that's like, you have a 11-minute roll usually, and you might have taken a couple of takes and you go, hold on, I have maybe 2 minutes to get this take. I'm probably going to need more. Do I risk and all this kind of like the actor has to be on. So you don't tell the actor this, obviously, but in the back of your mind, and that makes you a little bit more hyper aware and tense, maybe, or the camera operator or the focus puller. So it just translates, and I think people pick it up on set, and it affects everyone in a way. So I'd say yes, and at the same time, there's a little bit more patience as well, because you can't rush. Like you take more time to rehearse with the actors, maybe, or you explore a little bit more, and then you go in. So I think you should change the way you direct depending on what you're using. I think that's a useful way of thinking about it. Like some people work better in certain styles and certain gear, and some people don't. I find myself having to always adapt depending on the circumstances, but I mean, that's the world we live in now. So.
That's cool. Sorry, Steve. I actually find it fascinating that because of the physicality of the film and the magazines that have not changed over the past, 80 years now, you were shooting on the exact same length of magazines that Hitchcock was using in the 50s and 60s. So I find like it ties you to so much history of cinema. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that also. I mean, for me, I'm a big Hitchcock fan. For me, just like thinking about like, oh yeah, like Rope was done this way because digital camera, you could shoot the whole film, no problem. But Rope was done in a certain. He had different creative approach, and it's awesome to think of, and also how beautiful film is. You can't really emulate film. You can do it so close, but you can't really do it because your approach is different. But yeah, I think you're right. Working as film is it kind of puts you in the mindset of the history of cinema, in a way that is kind of forgotten with the digital accessibility of like shooting on anything, your phone and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely true.
So would you? No, my turn. So would you say that shooting on film kind of made you a better director? Meaning,
absolutely,
like, yeah,
100%. Because when I went into school at the time, I was that guy that would I would shoot everything. I was like, I would spray the whole scene. I would come in with the actors. I would shoot, and then I'm like, oh, I can shoot this and I can shoot that, and it's a great style of filmmaking. But you're less considerate, right? You take less time to really like think like, do I need this? Because in the edit, you'll like cut. Yeah, I don't need this. I don't need that. But when you're a little bit more self-conscious about like why you're doing things, and you think a little bit more thorough of like your choices, it makes you contemplate your decisions, and it improves you on the moment. Because on set, it's really stressful. It's a lot of quick thinking, and you want to be in the moment. And having something that forces you to be in the moment is useful. And I think I'd recommend anybody who has the opportunity to work on film and willing to take the risk to try it if they've never done it.
Cool. Well, like Martin was saying, like
Oh,
before we start the show, we always have like a segment where it's like rapid fire question.
Okay,
So, they're not tricky, but let's like it's that time now. Est-ce que notre invité saura répondre aux questions rafales?
So Santiago, don't worry about the questions. They're funny. They're fun to play with. And I will start with the first one. And the first one is, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Shudder offers you the chance to direct a family film with Uwe Ball, director of Alone in the Dark, The House of the Dead, and Blood Rain. What would be the main subject of the film?
Oh, what would be the subject of the film? Could you repeat the question? Sorry, it was Shudder.
So Shudder offers you the chance to direct a family film with Uwe Ball.
Oh, like
There's no family film on Shudder, Martin. What is this?
That's the entire fun joke.
Something with like sexy werewolves or something. I don't know.
That's good. What kind of
always
ritual would you be willing to do? And as you may know, I'm referring to something you already know.
What ritual would I be willing to do?
Yep.
In this film or
in any way ever?
I'd be willing to sacrifice a couple of people if that makes sense.
You have to write a horror film about the city of Montreal. What would be the main subject and why?
Ooh, it would be something about the weather, definitely.
Oh.
Yeah, it would be probably something to do with something coming out of the cold. Yeah.
Are you still living in Montreal or no?
I am.
You are? Are you currently in Montreal?
I'm currently in Montreal.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Do you speak French a little bit? Because I heard you.
It's quite rough, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
I heard you at the beginning say like salut, and it was like really like Quebec salut. So I was wondering.
Everybody knows how to say salut, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I definitely I would be embarrassing myself if I tried here. But.
You have to create visual effects for a well-known director of your choice. Who would it be, and who would you go watch a hockey game with him at the Bell Center?
So who would I do the visual effects for, and if I would go watch a hockey game with them, the same person? Yeah, I would love to do the visual effects for like David Fincher, like some invisible background, like adding snow to the side of that no one will see. I would like to do that.
Apparently, he spends as much attention on these things that people don't see than anything else. So he might drive you crazy, going like, "This snow is not exactly the right color in this space of the frame."
It's exactly that I would want to see firsthand.
All right,
I would love to go
that's
watch
fair.
a hockey game and see if he still pays attention. So it'd be great.
On November 2nd, a magic door appears in your home, inviting you to visit the world where every dead celebrates the Day of the Dead. Do you enter?
Yes, I would enter. Yeah, I would.
A cigarette snake enters your house. What do you do?
I would not go to sleep, and I would get out.
By the way, it was really cool to see that that preview.
Nice.
Do you prefer a glass of milk or a glass of red wine?
glass of wine. I like a glass of wine. I'll take my chances with the wine.
Knowing that Milk will be adapted as a full feature film. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Will the sequel be called Chocolate Milk?
It has to. Of course, it has to. And then it'll be almond milk, and then
But then would it be soy milk or something like
soy
that?
milk, yeah, that's good.
Strawberry milk.
It's a Spanish film, the soy milk. Yeah.
And then there's a mashup that's called Milkshake.
Guys, you guys are good. I love it.
A lot of sequels. Who is the greatest nemesis in film history?
The greatest nemesis in film is. I mean, I love these questions. I stumped on that one. I have no idea.
I'll go with the next one then. Did you have any regrets during your film making years?
Yes, I would say taking too long on getting something started. I think that's a given for almost any project I've ever done. I always waited too long. You could just get going right away.
I totally understand why. Describe Keith Thompson in 3 words.
Unique, genuine, and a genius.
Great work, by the way, for the movie. Some people say Santiago Menghini as the making of a master of horror. Would you agree, and why?
I would not agree because I would not consider myself a master of anything, but I would say I'm very humbly honored by just being described that way. That's very nice.
If Mark Menchaca, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Menchaca? Yeah. Would play a nice guy, what kind of character would he play?
What kind of character would he play? He would play an unassuming, carefree, easygoing guy. Yeah. That's
If Christina Rodlow would play a killer in any other horror movie, what kind of killer would she be?
She would be a ruthless killer.
And the last question, we always ask that question to every guest we have: Freddy or Jason?
Ooh, Freddy.
So, wasn't that bad, right?
No, that was great. That was really, really nice. Thank you, guys. That was really fun.
Thank you for playing the game.
Oh, of course.
Like Martin was saying at the beginning, when he talked about your bio, you did a movie, No One Get Out Alive, that is currently streaming on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see the trailer, and after let's talk about it. So.
Rooms just over here. Ladies only. No smoking, no pets.
Amamba, are you guys staying here? For now. It's tough out there. Yeah. So much better in here.
I know this house is kind of weird. Basement's private.
You hear it too? What have you seen? There's something wrong with this place. Even when I'm awake, I see it. I've seen it there. Hello? together. Let's get out of here.
I know this house is kind of weird. But please don't try to leave. It'll make it worse. Way worse.
So here I was on my October challenge, which is watching a horror movie once a day for the entire month of October. And the first challenge was you have to watch a movie from 2021, and No One Gets Out Alive is the first thing that came to mind because it was announced on Netflix. And me and my wife watched it, and we just loved it.
Oh,
Very good movie, and I cannot wait to see the next one for sure.
And at the time, you didn't know that it was done by somebody's living in Montreal and everything. You just like watched the film, you know.
Yep. And after doing some research on No One Gets Out Alive, I saw your name and Montreal attached to it. I was like, oh, Santiago's from Montreal. So what a good idea. I'm going to contact him.
So I'm curious, who is actually living in that house, like for real?
So, like the real house?
Yeah.
Well, the house is fake. It's the set. It's just
Even the outside?
the whole thing. The whole
Oh
thing.
wow. Okay.
We had our production designer, a guy called Chris Richmond. He designed the whole house. We worked together on the design, and he's a former architect. So I had so much fun with him, just sort of designing exactly what we wanted, and it looks awesome. But yeah, it was, and then we built it in parts, and it was really cool.
Nice, because it looks terrifying. I'm like, who wants to live in that? Whatever. Who's the weirdo?
I was wondering, you know, because like we're doing the podcast, but you know, Sur la route de l'horreur is also a show that is that we're doing for Frisson TV, like a TV channel here in Montreal. I don't know if you heard, but it's 24/7 French TV channels streaming horror films, and we like the show we're often traveling to different places. And when I saw the film, I saw the house, and I saw that it was shot in Cleveland and Romania. I was like, oh, maybe it's in Cleveland, and we can just like swing by in front. But crap.
Well, actually, okay. So there is a house in Cleveland called Schofield Heights. It's a real house that we referenced as like an inspiration. It was built by an old architect in Cleveland, and when we went to Cleveland, we looked at it as a possibility to shoot, but the place is completely run down. Like the inside, it's just a skeleton, and it's in a rather kind of like sketchy neighborhood. So
yeah,
you couldn't really shoot. But if you really dare, you could go there.
Yeah.
Santiago, after working on a dozen of projects since 2009, you've been approached to direct No One Gets Out Alive. How did it happen? How were you approached?
Yeah, it's a question. It's a nice question because I've been I was a young struggling filmmaker as well. Like I know how difficult it is to get any job, especially to like sort of get started. So for a long time, I would make a lot of short films, and I would I started finding out that I had a kind of a talent and interest in horror. And I started developing that as a filmmaker. At first, I didn't know that I was really like a horror filmmaker until I tried it. So I'm a late bloomer to horror. And the more I played with the genre, the more I fell in love with it. So I made a few short films that were horror films, and those I started sending them to festivals. And from that, I got a manager and an agent. And I decided to start kind of pushing for myself to start reading scripts and stuff and seeing if there's any kind of projects that would work for me or like that I could pitch for. And there were a few things that were sent my way that didn't work out or for whatever reason. And then I got kind of lucky where there was a opportunity to be a director for a Netflix film that was coming around, was adapted from Adam Neville's book, which the same production team that did The Ritual. And I really liked The Ritual. And I was like, I want to work with these guys. And I got to meet the production and the producers of that film, of the film, and production company in the UK. And I slowly built a relationship from there, and I pitched my take on what to do, and they liked it, and they liked my sort of vision for the film, and it sort of snowballed from there, and I was able to secure the job. So it was very kind of fortunate series of events. I mean, but I really think if it wasn't for the shorts that I've done, I don't think I would have gotten in the door. I think the body of work that I had did a lot of the talking for me, and people could see that I had some style, or I had some kind of vision as a director, and that I could direct. And then even films that weren't horror were useful, because, like, for example, I did a film called Red Wine, which is sort of like this, you know, satirical comedy, but it had like a large crowd scene in it, and it was like a lot of extras, and it sort of showed my ability to work in different mediums and with more people. And that kind of, again, just more kind of forced behind me to sort of, you know, show people that I can be trusted with a bigger project. And that was basically how it happened. So
what was your
people, and yeah.
what was your first reaction when you read Adam Neville's novel?
So I read the script, because they had a script before. Okay. And I liked the script a lot. And one of the things I liked about it was this whole element of this sort of immigrant's journey into the United States. And I was like, oh, this is a very cool way of getting the sort of haunted house story, but through like an angle of like an immigrant. And I connected with that. And then I read the book, which it was based on, and it has no immigrant story. And I was like,
oh, really?
No, it doesn't. So I was like, oh my God, this makes me very nervous. I'm like, this is a big change from the book. But then I started reading the book, and I realized, oh, a lot of all the core story is exactly the same. It's just told in a different way from a perspective set in the United States. And I thought that was very clever. And the writing was very clever. And the scenes were good. And I got to meet the writer, Adam Neville. And I asked him right away, I'm like, are you comfortable with this change? And he's like, absolutely. Support you guys on what you guys want to do. And that's like all the, you know, the blessings that I needed to continue and make the thing that I got excited about in the first place. So yeah, it was a surprise when I read the book for the first time, but it was a good surprise in the end.
Yeah, especially since you're a fan of The Ritual. I mean,
yeah,
how great was that?
Yeah, I mean, right away I was like, oh, the guys made The Ritual. I definitely want to read whatever they have. And when I found out it's the same author, I was, you know, it just check. It was all the cool kind of signs.
I was really wondering, you know, when I saw that, you know, it was from Netflix and stuff, because like a lot of people will do their own film, and then Netflix will buy the films and put it on the platform. But like this was like a command, like a request from Netflix directly.
Yeah, so the production had a deal in place to make the film, and they were looking for a director. So it was very kind of a special circumstance. And for me, it was very exciting, because there were, you know, it wasn't a slow, because a lot of films get slow development, and that is like you're writing the script or you're rewriting the script, especially when you kind of work in like the studio system. It can really take time before they can find even, you might have a finished script, but they might not have a time to make the film, because the studio has like a bunch of other films that they want to shoot first. So you might have to wait, and like it's always difficult to know when your film will get greenlit. But this one was sort of like already greenlit, ready to go, has, you know, a cool story. And I was like, you know, I wanted it, you know, very badly, and I pushed for it, and it kind of worked out. So kind of a happy series of events.
Like we were saying at the beginning, well, I don't know if you understand everything that we said, you know, but like Guillaume it's actually the first time that he's on a complete show with us, and he have his own segment now, which he how do you call it, Guillaume?
Well, it's salade cervicale. So it's basically like cervical salad, or brain salad, if you will. So yeah. So the short story is the guys asked me to be part of the show and to have a special segment in the show, and I had no exact idea what I was going to talk about, and so I asked them, like, what should I talk about? They went like, whatever floats your boat. I'm like, okay, that's a big task, especially for the first one, right? Because you have to decide what's the first subject that I'm going to talk about. And I thought about it long and hard, and I found a short indie film that I'd like to present to you. And I will try to narrate the film as it goes. It's a film that you might have seen or might not have seen. It's in the public domain. And it's called The House of the Devil. And it's from 1896.
Cool.
Okay. I'm going to try to narrate this because it's an interesting story. So,
okay, cool.
Let's go.
But before I had fun and I did a little theme for you. So let's roll.
Oh
wait.
wait.
Are you serious?
That.
Okay, bring it on. I'm ready.
Silence sur le plateau. After the war. 2, 1, et action. Isn't it amazing?
Wow.
That's pretty good.
I can feel the pressure now.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to talk for maybe another 30 seconds because the movie is currently uploading on the platform.
Okay, no problem. So I can give more information about the film. The film was actually directed by Georges Méliès. So if you know who that is, that's one of the founders of special effects filmmaking, and it lasts for about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that. And the reason why two things. The first thing is it is officially now considered to be the first horror film of all times by most historians. Now, if some people don't agree with this, just call me and we'll discuss it over a beer. I don't mind. That's fine. The other thing is it lasts for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and it is absolutely mind-boggling how much storytelling he crams in this 3 minutes. It's insane. And how many aspects of horror films, how many details that come back for the next 140 years. So let's roll it. I'll try to narrate as it goes. All right. So what we have is right away we have a bat. So it's in the House of the Devil. The thematic of the bat is like the classic vampire thing. Turns into a devil, walks around like an idiot for a few seconds, and then meditating on whatever he wants to do, spawns a cauldron out of thin air, and then because it's never nice to be alone, spawns a goblin. So right away we're in the hunchback of Frankenstein servant and everything. So out of the cauldron comes a pretty woman. Right away I go to Weird Science from the 80s. If you've seen that film, that's pretty much the basic of it. But that's not enough. Spawning the woman, putting her away, waiting for something to happen because we don't know what's going to happen with that woman. They're talking for a while, reading from a book. This burning the goblin is very interesting. Disappearing the cauldron, you're like, what the hell is going on here? And then wait for it. A cape of invisibility. Thank you, J.K. Rowling. You did not invent anything. Those two guys walk out of nowhere. What the hell is this place? I've never seen such architecture. Oh my God. Goblin appears out of nowhere. I thought he was burned, but no. And he pokes them in the ass because it's always fun. And then wait for it. This is fascinating. One of them is actually frightened, and the other one's like, you pussy, come back, dude. And then wait. Things are disappearing, moving around. We're in a haunted house thing. This is spooky as hell. Seriously, other films have done this for the past 120, 130 years. Skeletons out of nowhere in the closet or whatever. They're going to start moving, I think, if I remember correctly. No, just disappearing into a bat. The guy fights the bat. Check this. Check this special effects. It's actually surprisingly well done. Yeah, I was mind boggled by this. Goblin's back, but that's not the end of it. A disappearing act, the guy walks away, but then suddenly ghosts keep the guy in the house. He's like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? But because that's not enough. I mean, that was useless, by the way, but okay. Guy wakes up, and then the devil's like, okay, check this out, dude. Brings the woman out. He goes oh my God, she's pretty as hell. But wait for it. She's actually a freaking witch, but not just a witch, a ghost witch. That's even worse. Those are the worst. It's so terrible that his partner actually gets chased by the witches and eventually will literally commit suicide. There we go. Boom. Out the door. I mean, we had like there's so much drama in this, and then there's like he's like, "What the hell am I doing with these witches?" I don't even remember how it ends. The actual set was almost falling apart, and he's like, "Okay, they disappeared. What the hell? I'm just gonna walk away from this." Oh, devil again! What the hell, bro? And then he fights the devil with a cross. That's the only downside of the movie. It's just like it's a downer ending. There we go.
Wow.
So much story in like 3 minutes.
And you have to remember that people paid 5 cents to see that.
Literally. You're right.
It's a huge box office.
But the technique and the originality of everything, it's really surprising. You know, it's what 18, I don't remember, 1896 that you said or something like that.
1896, yeah.
Yeah.
It is
it's like actually 2 years after they started making films, so it's just absolutely.
It's a lot of things at the same time. It has to be original. Of course, it's original. It's been what 140 years.
Yeah. But at the same time, like you have to remember, this is like right on the cusp of the end of the Victorian era and the start of the revolution that came after the technical revolution that came after. And at the time, you had like vampires were a big thing because of Bram Stoker. You still had Frankenstein was still fresh in people's memories, like the original book. You had like a bunch of these were still in people's mentality, and a bunch of people were still very superstitious. I just love how much he crammed into this. I mean, you could take one aspect of it and make a whole film out of this, and he just went like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna put everything in one."
Awesome.
Let's get back to Santiago.
No, that is awesome. I like that. I could do another one of those. That was really good. I like this segment. Nice.
Especially the team. That was top notch. Question for you. Christina Rodlow from The Terror and 68 Whiskey plays the main character. What was the reason for casting her?
Well, it was a difficult character to kind of wrap my head around at first, but I was looking for somebody who could be, could be tough, and also at the same time has the ability to and range to be vulnerable. Because I mean, she literally goes from somebody who's like a victim to like the aggressor by the end of the film. And Christina kind of had that just in her, like just naturally. She had a little bit of a guarded toughness to her that I think just kind of comes across in a really cool way. And she's, just naturally a very gifted actress. So I was very lucky when she joined our film. So yeah, it was an easy choice in the end.
How was it to work with her?
It was definitely like a collaborative experience. I think that what was quite interesting at first was how what we did a lot was we did a lot of script reads. So we would read the script and understand the characters and kind of break them down and really kind of wrap our head around what's going on and why. And that process was really fun to be doing it with her. And we both speak Spanish, so to us also connect that way. And even on set, it was very nice. So that was another layer that just made it very engaging for me, and at least for me working with her, I definitely enjoyed it.
So you said both of you were speaking Spanish, which reminds me that there's reference to the Day of the Dead in the movie, which, by the way, takes place during my birthday on November 2nd. So
happy belated birthday. Mine's on the 4th. So yeah.
Hey, well, same thing to you. Were you already an expert on the subject? If so, how did you become an expert, or did you decide to study on the Day of the Dead?
No, I wasn't. And I think that what ended up happening was just naturally the material kind of took us there. And in doing the research for the film, you kind of envelop yourself with all the mythologies of folklores and through the histories of culture. And that was like a big element of preparing for the film. I really wanted to make sure it felt right, at least to a layer of it, to really kind of touch on those subjects. So for me, that was like an important aspect, just working with also the production design and all that stuff. So definitely played a factor. So
back to the casting, Mary is played by Victoria Alcock, which also has an impressive filmography that includes People Just Do Nothing, The Dumping Grounds, EastEnders, and Bad Girls. Can you tell us how it was to work with her? She's
like the sweetest person in the world, and she plays a very vicious character. So that for me was really fun, because you meet a lot of, when you work on a film, working with a lot of people that are really like interested and devoted to what they do. And she was one of them. She just cared, she was generous. And whenever you have an actor that is so generous and willing to go that extra step, it's really rewarding. I mean, even there was a moment on set where she was willing to like run barefoot and like just had no problems like whatsoever. Like she was just constantly willing to do things. And it was such a great like person to be around, because you got excited just being around people who got excited about what they're doing. So yeah, great experience with her.
It sounds like you had a great crew to work with. Eh?
Yeah, it was, at first it was really nerve-wracking because I didn't know anybody from the crew. It was like a first time experience working with a foreign crew. And then also my main team wasn't anybody. I've done short films in Montreal. Like I didn't have the same friends that I have here. And that was a learning curve. But as soon as I started working and realizing how professional everyone was, it made my life so much easier, and they made me look good. So I'm very happy about that.
And I also assume that the fact that it was your first full feature, it must have been nerve-wracking at this point too.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I can talk about this endlessly, but I think when you make a film, any film, period, you should, like, any filmmaker that finishes a film deserves like a pat on the back, because it's such an endeavor to just make it. I mean, emotionally difficult. It's draining. It's like running a marathon for 40 days. Like it's really exhausting. It's like a lot of work. And when you're starting out, your confidence is not there completely, because you're still not sure of, exactly how things are going to play out in the scale. Like I've done a lot of short films and felt very comfortable in them, but extend that to 40 days and you have the full emotional roller coaster of 40 days to deal with. So that was definitely a learning experience, but a good one in the end. But
yeah. Most of your projects are either sci-fi, fantasy, or horror. Would you say that you have a preference for those genres? And if so, can we expect to see more horror films from you?
Yeah, I'd say definitely more. I think the ideas stick in horror for a little bit. I think there's more to do and more things I want to try. I think I always love to play with the genre in a slightly different way, especially with my shorts. You can probably see a little bit of different techniques and different styles. And then, I think to do some of that in a feature film is what I'm really excited for. So.
Okay. And now we're almost at the end, and we always ask this specific question to our guests. You have to tell us an anecdote, anything that has to do with filmmaking or whatever you want. We want to hear it.
Cool.
But there's the team before, Martin. We need to play the team.
Oh, we...
Anecdote, c'est l'heure de l'anecdote.
Those are super cheesy, but people love them.
No, I do love it.
We're getting messages like, I was singing the song like anecdote all day long. I was like, okay.
I think the takeaway from this is the anecdote does not need to be serious at all.
No, exactly.
I thought about, I want to kind of keep touching on this like subject of like first time filmmaking experience. So I'll tell the anecdote of this film. So we started this film. It was supposed to start in the March of 2020. And as many of you guys know, the pandemic was right there. So what happened was we went to Cleveland to go film a lot of like the first, we had a week of filming in Cleveland. We did like a month or 2 months of prep, which is like preparing for the film in Cleveland. We went to all the locations you could possibly think of. And we had all this like crew thing, police blockades, everything, just getting everything ready to do this film. We went and did so much scouting, planning, doing lighting setups, storyboards, everything you can think of, just preparing for this like 1 week, because it was a very intense 1 week in the United States, and then we're going to finish the film in Romania. So the first week I was like very excited. We get the first day and we have to shoot a bunch of like, simple setups and stuff. And then my second day was supposed to be like these big tableaus, these sort of vista shots of like Cleveland and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're shooting this, And I'm, first day on set, I'm very excited. And I have, the producers there, everyone's sort of like looking at how things are going. And we keep like looking at our phones. There's this, the virus is getting worse. And then I remember I got to meet David Bruckner, the director of The Ritual, came on set. He was one of the executive producers of the film, and he gave me some support. And at one moment, then what happened was the producers, like halfway through shooting first day, came over to me and like, I'm very sorry, but we have to shut everything down. It's over. It stops. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that's it. Like I had one day, I had one day to make a movie, and I will never know if I can finish it, because everyone was thinking it's done. And we stopped. Everyone like rushed back to, I had to run back to Canada. Basically, I got on like the first plane out of Cleveland. The people that were from the UK, they left. And I went home, and for like months, I was here in Montreal in my apartment thinking like, well, that was cool, but all that work for nothing. Like I was miserable. And really thanks to Netflix, they were willing to take a risk and let us, like we really pushed, and they let us go finish the film in Romania. We had to make a lot of changes to the setup and like how we wanted to do scenes. It was very difficult, like changes, but we just found a way to make it. And I remember going back to Romania, and we had the weekend before, finish to like start filming. We had to I decided to take a break and climb a mountain, like in Romania. I thought it'd be very cool. So I'm climbing the mountain, and I'm like really enjoying it. And it's getting really dark, and I'm like, I will be in trouble if I don't like turn around right now. And I remember being like really close to the summit and thinking, I'm gonna freeze to death if I don't say turn around right now and go back. And I remember being so upset, being like, this is exactly what happened in Cleveland. And I turned around and I went down the mountain. I remember thinking like, I have to finish this freaking mountain. And the mountain like is like sort of like a metaphor for this movie. And sure enough, the next 40 to like 50 days, I was in making this movie, and it felt like climbing this mountain. It was really hard, and I felt like it was never going to end, and it was 100 little problems. But at the end, the movie is finished, and in a way, I climbed the mountain. So yeah.
Did you ever go back to that mountain?
Yeah.
Did you climb all the way up? Yes. Okay. Good. Yeah. I was like, you kept me on edge right there.
So at the end of the day, you shot one day in Cleveland.
We shot basically we had like a day of like just shooting vistas, and then we shot all the shots you see in the movie that are like outside are everything we shot in one day. It was like we guerrilla style. We did this like thing where like like the Clint Eastwood thing where you go on like a street corner and you shoot down one street, the actor walks, and you turn the camera and you shoot down that street. I was like, I gotta find every trick I know to make this work because we have no time. And I was like cutting corners. I'm like, steady cam, let's go over there. We need a second camera and you're gonna go set up over there. I'm like running around, we're just filming whatever, just because we were so desperate just to get as much material so that we don't have to come back to Cleveland. And it really worked out because we used almost all the footage and it looks great. And we, a lot of credit for the team for allowing us to like make that happen. But it was crazy. It was crazy.
How did it feel to have a full feature film completed?
It hasn't like fully hit me, but it's really quite a crazy experience because you're so I was so intense with this material that you kind of get like, you get so close to it that after a while you're like, I'm done. Like it's not mine anymore. And that's very nice.
Did you have an in-person premiere, or was it like only the streaming on Netflix? Did you have like a crew gathering?
Like a private screening I had with like people that I invited and stuff. So I did have a screening, and we also had some in the UK. Okay. So we did have a couple of nice little screenings. But after that, It was on Netflix, and the whole world gets to see it. And it's sort of like, who will like it, who won't? We don't know.
It seems like it's been really popular, though. I mean, there's a lot of my friends that's been talking about it, and they all loved it.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. People have been very nice and said very wonderful things about the film. So I'm really happy that the film found the audience that really like it. And that's been really rewarding, because you spend so much time trying to make a film that's fun for everyone, but in the end, there's always a core group of people that really love it, and that makes it worth it.
We're already at the end of like the show. It's like going super fast with all the technical problem that we had and stuff. So but you still have a couple of minutes to stay with us right after the credits.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So just before going to the credit, are you working on something new right now? What's your next project? Except the fact that Milk is going to be. Are you going to be directing Milk? Or?
Yeah, directing. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the next one, hopefully in the works. I mean, again, it has a lot of little things have to line up to make it happen, but that's the plan. So, and you know, I'm also here. I'm writing, hopefully getting some other projects, maybe something a little bit smaller to do here in Montreal. So, I'll keep you guys posted if I manage to get that one going.
Nice.
If you ever shoot something in Montreal and we can go visit the film the film set and document this, it would be great.
Oh,
we'll drive there.
Now that I know, absolutely.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you very much for coming to the show. You guys have any other question before we're going out to the end credit, guys, or we're all good?
I'll do it after the end credit.
That's how we're doing it. Usually we have somebody else on the shows, always like closing with a super dad jokes, which is not funny. So just before the show, I was like,
that's beyond a dad joke. Like we're at uncle joke at this point.
So I went online trying to find something before leaving. I don't know if I'm gonna be, as good as he is, but.
Oh, you're gonna do the French accent? You have to do the French accent.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, come on.
French accent speaking in English, not working. So,
but it's funny. No, that's Italian. Sorry.
So 2-sentence horror stories be like, I saw this man here, but then he was there.